You're watching the 5 Minute Bark Podcast on YouTube. If you like this episode, you just may like many more. Subscribe today by clicking the red subscribe button in the top right-hand corner. And we're live here at the 5 Minute Bark Podcast. I'm so excited to have our awesome guest here today. We share so many passionate things together: success, politics, all that fun stuff we're going to be talking about here today. Yes, you heard it, politics on the 5 Minute Bark. First time ever. We're going to get into that today. Today we have Wayne Root here today. He's an American businessman, political figure, author of many books. One book I'm going to be talking about today is 7 Secrets to Achieving Mega Success here today. And well, maybe that success can get sex, I guess, right? And so Wayne, say hello to everybody out there.
Hey, well, and by the way, sex is part of success, I guess. So, it's okay.
Exactly.
I want to make sure everybody knows that's the subtitle. The actual name of the book is The Power of Relentless. And I want to make sure everybody knows that. So we're really talking about relentless success and relentless sex, I guess, according to your faux pas, relentless sex. We're talking about being relentless in life, and I am a very relentless person. You're the nail, I'm the hammer. That's kind of my philosophy in life. And it works, and I've proven it works, and I've proven that average people can achieve extraordinary things, or I should say ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. And I think we'll talk about that today. I think we'll have a lot of fun with it.
Yes, we will, certainly. So, I mean, first off, creating these books takes a lot of work. I mean, we all know that. I mean, sure, you got the people that put out these 20-page books and they call them books, but your book's the real deal about success. I mean, to claim success in this world, I mean, it's quite a statement. Tell us a little bit about your success. I mean, a lot of people out there, a lot of people don't know about you here on my show, so I want them to learn more about you.
Sure. Well, first of all, to find out more about me, my name is Wayne Allen Root. My political website is root4america.com. My speaking website, because I speak at business events all over the world, is relentlessroot.com, relentlessroot, ROOT.com. And my spokesman website, because I'm a spokesman for many different companies, both big and small, is wayneroot.com, where you see videos where I serve as spokesman for companies in the energy field, the gold field, the financial field, and many, many, many small businesses, just like I'm sure the people listening to your podcast right now, many of them are small business people. So it's either rootforamerica.com, relentlessroot.com, or wayneroot.com. Lots of ways to find out more about me. I've achieved great success. I'm an SOB, son of a butcher, and everything I've ever tried has turned into a huge success. Not Donald Trump's success, but of course, I may be a fan of Donald's, but he did start with a billionaire father, and I started with a father who wore a white apron with bloodstains on it. So for me, success is not being worth, $10 billion or $1 billion. Success for me is making a wonderful living and turning everything I do into extraordinary success that no one ever expected. I decided I wanted to be an anchor man. Well, first I decided I wanted to go to Columbia University, by the way, if you want to start that soon. And I'm in this blue-collar, middle-class, working-class neighborhood on the Bronx borderline in Mount Vernon, New York. And kids didn't go to Columbia University from that neighborhood. And I graduated valedictorian in my school, and I went to Columbia University and graduated Columbia University. Then I decided I wanted to be an anchor man on national TV. Impossible unless you start out in small markets. You're in Omaha and you're in Peoria, and then eventually you might be in Baltimore, and then you might eventually go to Chicago, and then eventually national TV. I went from my parents' bedroom to national TV anchorman, lead anchor at CNBC, and host of 5 shows, even though I'd never been on TV one day in my life, and I accomplished that with one interview. They didn't know. The interview went so well, Dennis, they didn't ask the question, have you ever been on TV before? They forgot to ask it, and I won them over. And the next day I was sitting in front of the camera. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just winged it. And I did it. And I nailed it. And became their number one anchor man. And then I decided I want to be the king of Vegas, the number one Vegas odds maker, because that was my joy in life, was betting on football games as a kid growing up in blue-collar New York. And I was really good at it. And so I told the guys at FNN, at CNBC, which was then called Financial News Network, I want to be the network odds maker while I'm hosting all these shows and anchoring your sports broadcasts. And they looked at me like I was crazy, but they said, okay, try it. And I wound up hitting 76% best bet winners over 2 years on national TV and developed this monstrous following and quit CNBC to start my own sports handicapping company. Everyone said, you're insane. You've ruined your career. You're out of your mind. What a stupid business. I said, I'm going to sell my picks for money on a 900 line. People said, you're out of your mind. And I wound up selling well over $175 million worth of my picks and built the #1 pregame show that wasn't done by Fox or CBS. I single-handedly created a TV infomercial that looked like a half-hour NFL pregame show that sold my picks on 900 numbers and sold over 3 million people called off my show, and I became the king of Saturday and Sunday mornings football in America. And then decided on a whim to go into politics, Dennis, and won the Libertarian vice presidential nomination. And after never being in politics a day in my life, woke up the next morning after winning the nomination on national TV. And the next morning, I'm on Neil Cavuto's show on Fox News talking politics with the presidential candidate, Bob Barr. And since then, I've been a national political commentator on thousands and thousands of TV and radio stations and shows and podcasts and blogs. And I'm probably the #1 conservative blogger and columnist in the country. Have my own column in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, biggest paper in the state of Nevada, Fox News regular guest, and have written 11 books, including 3 going on 4 national political bestsellers, one of them #1 in the nation. Shall I go on? I mean, whatever I do,
it's endless.
I make the hit. Wait, one last thing. I have to mention one last thing. Nothing is more important to me than this one. From the day my daughter was born, I have 4 kids, but the oldest daughter, who's 24 now, from the day she was born, I wanted her to go to Harvard. I wanted to brag that my kid went to Harvard. It was always in my mind. I was upset I went to Columbia because once I learned that there was something better than Columbia, Harvard, #1 in the world, I said I should have gone to Harvard. So I set my mind that my kid would go to Harvard. Homeschooled, never in a classroom in her life, but from the day she was born, brainwashed by her dad that she was going to either Harvard or Stanford, the Harvard of the West. And she was accepted as a homeschooler by both Harvard and Stanford in the toughest year ever in the history of education to get into both schools. And she graduated magna cum laude and all Ivy League fencing from Harvard University, and now she's getting her master's degree in economics. So that's my favorite success story out of all of them.
You know, I'm catching something here that's really interesting, and it's probably great for my listeners out there. Is you just kind of you jumped on this roller coaster, so to speak, and just kind of rode the success train, right? Just going forward with it. And a lot of people just think they have to really kind of plan things out, or they have this complete direction. It doesn't seem like that was the case for you. You just kind of went from one thing to the next.
Well, okay. Yeah, I agree, Dennis, that one thing leads to another to some extent. Okay. And I've practiced that my whole life. You know, things just happen when you have a lot of energy. It attracts things to you, and you go with it. When something good happens and a door opens, you go with it and you give it 110%. So that's true. But I just want to make this point. Along the way, in between all the wonderful things I just told you, nobody listening or watching right now should feel inferior. I failed 1,000,000 times. I got rejected 1,000,000 times. You know, and most people don't tell you the truth. Every time I watch someone on TV or listen on radio or read a book about someone who's successful, they only tell you the good stuff and they leave out the bad stuff, which makes you feel inferior. If I told you that I was rejected by thousands of media people before I finally got that job as lead anchor at CNBC because of that one good interview, but first no one would give me an interview and no agent would represent me, and every door got shut in my face. If I tell you that before I became the national political commentator, I got rejected by everyone in the world of politics, you know, you're just a third-party candidate, who cares? It takes patience and relentless and tenacious attitude to nail, you know, to be the hammer and the nail. You know, sometimes you break your finger when you're the hammer and the nail. And I've broken all my fingers and all my toes too. And so you just got to stay active. You got to stay high energy. You got to stay action oriented. You got to be a risk taker, and you got to turn lemons to lemonade, because you are going to get rejected if your life isn't a safe salary working at a government job or a safe salary working for a big corporation. A guy like me, Dennis, I'm pitching a reality TV show now. Yep. Okay. And it's about the last of the last great salesman is the potential name I'm calling it. I'm the last guy left in America. Ask Obama. He wants to outlaw us. The last guy who doesn't have a safe job, doesn't have a safe salary, has no pension, has no tenure. I wake up in the morning. I don't know what I'm doing for a living. I know I'm going to go out and sell something, and I know it's going to pay for my mansion and my Maserati in the driveway, and it always does. And there's not many people left like me. You see me on a Monday and I have no idea how I'm paying my bills. See me on Friday, I made a quick $100,000. There's just nobody left like me. I'm it. I wake up every morning with no idea what I'm doing, no idea who I'm calling or who's calling me, and no idea where my next check's coming from. And it's getting harder and harder to do that. And other people just go to work for the government and they get a $100,000 pension for the rest of their lives, which is like a multi-million dollar pension, multi-million dollar goodbye gift for someone who's just a very average government employee that couldn't compete with me. And it gets really frustrating, really frustrating. And it's wrong because we're paying the taxes in the private sector for all these people who have government jobs. The only exception I make that is people who risk their lives, like policemen and firemen. Yeah. But everybody else, most of the government is not policemen and firemen. They don't risk their lives. They sit on their asses and they look at their watch all day till their 20 years are up, and then they retire at a $100,000 pension. And I got to tell you, I got a big grievance with that and a big problem with that and a real, a real anger about that because we're going bankrupt as a nation. This is where the politics comes in. The entrepreneurs can't afford the taxes the rest of you are charging us because you want a $100,000 pension for not working. And oh, by the way, in the private sector, if you tried that, a bagel would cost $800. Can you imagine if you walked in a bagel store and they were paying a $100,000 pension to people that last worked in the bagel store in 1964? You charge $800 for a bagel. Yep. But because in the private sector, no one pays a pension, you work, you get paid, you retire or you quit, you don't get paid. That's the real world. That's the way it's supposed to work. And therefore a bagel costs, $1.50 and you want some extra cream cheese, it might be $2, not $800. So I'm a guy who believes in the private sector and work ethic and personal responsibility and rugged individualism. And to make it all work, capitalism, low taxes, small, limited government. And if you can't do that, America won't be the greatest country in the world ever again.
What I'm seeing here too is would you ever switch? In other words, would you go, screw it, I want to work in the corporate world? You would never do that. I mean, even through all the different things you've gone through, myself included, I'm starting a radio show, okay? And you know how hard this is. This is so hard. I've been a year and a half now just trying to grind it, and all of a sudden it takes off. But, it's like friends are coming to me, get a job. You have to go work for AT&T. You have to go work for this. It's like, what is that? What does that do for me? It doesn't do anything besides give me this, like you said, this steady excuse to wake up in the morning, go work, and then go to bed. Like I said, just like you said, I have to find out where my next dollar is coming from. Luckily, I have a sponsor here, Forgotten Flag Raisers, which I forgot to talk about in the beginning, who is now sponsored, one of my first sponsors of my show. But you're right. I have to bust my balls. I have to get up in the morning, wonder where that check's going to come, and somehow it does come. It's because
I left out one of my newest successes is last February. I started a terrestrial radio show. Terrestrial meaning on AM talk radio. So a radio show, not a podcast like yours, but actually listen in your car on the way home from work. Traditional radio, which is a dying business, by the way. I got into it at the worst time in the history of the world to get into it. I should have gotten into it 20 or 30 years ago. In the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, talk radio was huge. Today it's dying. And Las Vegas, where I'm based at, really dying. The economy, no matter what they tell you out there, the economy is still horrible on a local basis. And people don't have the money they used to, and businesses don't advertise like they used to. And there has not been a recovery. We're still in a great Obama, either depression or great recession. And in Vegas, it's worse than most places. And all the other radio shows in Vegas can't find an advertiser. I mean, you listen to them, and there's one or two advertisers. And I have 15 slots, and all 15 as of today are filled. And they're all filled at top dollar. And I hustled, and I fought, and I called, and I met, and I handshaked, and I backslapped, and I took them to lunch, and I went 15 for 15 eventually and filled the show to the point where we now have overflow. There are people that want to get on that can't get on. It's a huge hit. And eventually I replaced Mark Levin. I went from 6 at night till 3 to 6 in the afternoon, the coveted afternoon drive time, and they fired Mark Levin and put me in that spot. And I sell all my own advertising. That's what I am, man. The last of the great salesmen. And, I'm one of those guys, excuse the language, but I could sell tampons in a men's room. And that's the talent it takes to make it in this lousy Obama economy that's based on socialism, not capitalism anymore. And that's the kind of talent you better have if you're out in the real world, in the private sector, trying to sell people and trying to make money without a set paycheck or a safe paycheck, without tenure and without a pension. And with, in other words, without a safety blanket or a safety net. And I've got none of those. Yeah. So, and I live in a mansion with huge overhead here in Las Vegas, overlooking 5 lakes, 7 waterfalls, what they call the Black Mountains, and the entire Vegas Strip on the other side. And it's a great life, but it's a big, expensive life. And you better have a lot of ambition and a lot of drive. And I've got all of that. You know, I never smoked pot. And now you know why. All my friends who smoke pot, I'm not sure if they're happy or not. They seem happy, but they just lie on the couch and watch TV all day. Yeah. And if you want to make money in the world, you can't smoke pot. You know, you got to hit the treadmill. You got to pray to God, which I do every day. You've got to say affirmations. You got to visualize every day. You got to meditate every day. You got to work out hard every day. You got to eat healthy. You got to pop your vitamin pills, which I do every day. I'm an expert on nutrition. I've studied it my whole life, and I pop 100 vitamin pills a day. I am naturally high, never done a drug, never smoked pot, never in my life put a cigarette to my mouth. I'm as clean. I don't drink alcohol. I'm as clean as a human being could be, and I'm ready to fight on the battlefield every day, and I do so.
Speaking of the battlefield, we got Donald Trump running for president here today. He's getting criticized from every angle, and then some, and then some, and then some. I mean, obviously, you're around politics, and this is just something that just goes on over and over and again. I mean, me personally, I have to thank him for running for president because he's already got a great life. He's already got a gold everything. He's got his own plane. I'm sure that his plane's probably nicer than Air Force One. His house is nicer than the White House. He's got beautiful kids. I mean, how many successful people have beautiful kids that are smart, educated, that can get up the podium and speak? I mean, the list goes on, and it just seems to everybody seems to find everything else, like his taxes, is this, is that, is this, is that. I mean, if you can show me a perfect person in the world, please show me. But I mean, if you can also find a person that's a billionaire that's willing to sacrifice their life, I mean, go into Mexico City when they know the cartel is trying to get them. I mean, go into different places, be on a plane 3 times a day, and speech 3 times a day around the country. I just don't know. I don't understand. I mean,
well, you know, I'm his #1 supporter in the media in the whole world, most probably. Right. Not only have I done thousands of interviews in the United States to defend and to support and to champion Donald Trump, but I've also done interviews about Donald Trump and in support of Donald Trump nonstop in Israel, Russia, Canada, the United Kingdom. I'm trying to think of all the places. God, there's so many I've forgotten now. Oh, Japan. Did 2 interviews on Japanese national TV. And just the other day, I was honored, and I did it. I went ahead and did it, although it was a bit of a risk. I was asked by the second biggest Arabic TV network in the world that reaches every Muslim in America and also 22 Middle Eastern Muslim countries to talk about why I support Donald Trump. And I went and did that. Now, hopefully I'm not the #1 target in the world of ISIS, but I did it. And I think I made the case for Donald in all those places. I'm a big fan. Think about one other thing you didn't mention. Donald Trump is the anti-establishment guy. He's kind of the Julian Assange of the United States in a way, running for president. And he's hated by everyone, every golf course. You know, the PGA dropped him, and NBC dropped him, and Campers World dropped him, and you name it. Every single major company, Macy's and Univision, and all of them dropped Donald Trump the day he announced, and they're still attacking him on a daily basis. What did Mark Cuban say just today? Mark Cuban's quote was, Donald Trump will be bankrupt in 7 years. He's ruined his brand. He said, I'm not saying he doesn't have a huge brand and celebrity. I'm saying his brand is to the wealthiest people in the world, Mark Cuban said, and he's attracting working class people who can't afford his hotels or his golf courses or his planes or whatever it is. They can't afford his brand, and the people who are rich to afford his brand think he's a racist and won't support him anymore, so he's killed his brand. And Mark Cuban, I don't know if he's right or not, but he may be right. That's my point. Donald Trump had everything. He didn't need this kind of headache. Right. And he's doing it because he wants to save America, and he sees what the truth is, and he's telling you the truth. And what do liberals do to counteract that, Dennis? They spend all day long calling him a liar and pointing out how many lies he tells. It's the liberal lies from the people in office now that are flabbergasting. You can't believe the lies. If you like your insurance, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. I had nothing to do with the IRS scandal. Hillary Clinton, I didn't cover up Benghazi. The Clinton Foundation is totally legit. It's a good charity. It helps the world. I help the people of Haiti. Oh, my emails were mistakenly erased. I mean, the lies from the left are incredible. But the left follows Saul Alinsky, and he taught them, the ultimate leftist radical communist taught the left, whatever you do, lie, accuse the other guy of that. And so they accuse Donald Trump of lying all day when in reality he tells the truth all day about how bad the economy is and how bad we've gotten screwed up and dysfunctional and that the future is bleak for our kids. He just tells the truth all day and some people don't want to hear it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how this whole email scandal thing's gone. I mean, I have my own email server. I've had one for a long time. I have my own servers and so on and so forth because I have my own things I do. But if the only reason you want to go through the headache of having your own personal email server is because you're hiding something. I mean, forget everything else. It's just like the hassle of having an email server is such a hassle. But you have to be doing it for a reason. I mean,
mark this down. Wayne Root said it today, doing the interview. What is today? Monday, October 3rd is the date we actually did the interview. Yeah. And Julian Assange is going to drop a bombshell on Hillary this month of October 2016 that Hillary Clinton will not recover from. It'll be the end of her career, and she will stand a much better chance of going to the big house than the White House. Mark it down. Yeah. Julian Assange has her 32,000 erased emails or deleted emails. Yeah. She didn't realize anybody would ever get them. She didn't know she was being hacked. So all those things she wrote about pay for play in the Clinton Foundation are going to come back to haunt her, and they're going to be dropped on Hillary. So nothing Trump has done offensive, or none of the people he's offended, the groups he's offended, the debate performance, the first debate, which was admittedly subpar, none of it will matter, in my opinion, because in the end, you're going to find out Hillary is a criminal, and that'll be the end of Hillary, and Trump will go on and win, and I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah. You know, it's funny how people also talk about how he's just got this, bully attitude. If you've lived in Boston or New York, it's just totally part of life. I mean,
right.
Taxi cabs and people. And if you don't have that attitude, you cannot close the deals he does with. I mean, he has to deal with all these different situations, building contractors and so on and so forth. I mean, that movie way back when, with the guy has a son in school and he's a builder. What's that movie? Back to School. I mean, it's a perfect example. You have to grease this guy. You have to grease
Rodney
this guy.
Dangerfield. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's New York, man. That
was one of the greatest lines of all time when the professor was lecturing him on how business gets done. And he said, no. You got to give $10,000 in a paper bag to the garbage contractor. And the professor was startled. That's life in the big city, boy. And the fact that now they're claiming that he didn't pay taxes, Donald Trump. You know what? Last I checked, if you lose $1 billion on a real estate development, you're allowed to carry forward the billion for the next 20 years of capital gains till it wipes them out. You don't owe any taxes. As a matter of fact, how could someone be expected to pay taxes on the next billion you make when you just lost $1 billion? They apply to each other. They cancel each other out. You're even. Now you start again. You can't get mad at someone for legally reducing their taxes. You can get mad at someone for cheating. The person who cheated was Hillary Clinton. The Clinton Foundation is a charity scam set up to avoid taxes. Yep. And so the New York Times, knowing that, being a liberal sycophant of Hillary, they've set up Donald and tried to make him look bad by legally reducing his taxes according to the letter of the law with advice given by attorneys, the smartest in the world. That's all legal. There's nothing wrong with that. Not a single thing. No. I respect him for that. I hope he paid nothing. Yeah. God bless him. But as far as Hillary, that's a crime committed. I believe in the last year or two, they took in $178 million at the Clinton Foundation, and they paid out $9 million in charity. That's a crime, man. That's a charity scam. You and I, Dennis, would be in prison for doing that, for paying for five-star hotels and fancy meals and private jets with charity money and buying Chelsea a $6 million penthouse in New York City. Amazing.
Yeah. I would love to pay taxes at 30%, whatever it is. I don't even know what the percentage is. I'm a self-employed, so I pay maybe 10, 15%. I don't know what it is on average. But you know what? When you hear the government pays $200 for a bolt, when you hear about, I was on a plane once, I heard this guy, I'm brought into this place, and he's like, I'm in here to help these government contracts be reduced from 900% over budget to on budget, which obviously never going to happen. So why do you want to contribute to that? I mean, I want to get in line and pay taxes to that. I want to pay taxes. I'm sure you want to pay taxes. I want a great country. I want to have roads. I want to have a place I respect. But when it's been overrun and overtaken, like you said, talking about pensions that go on forever, I don't have a pension either. My pension is is all supplied by me.
Let me make 2 points. Number one, I always want to pay the least legal amount I can pay taxes. That's completely all-American, apple pie. Every businessman in America has the same attitude. I don't cheat. Matter of fact, I'm the most clean person in the world because of my criticism of President Obama. He sicked the IRS on me. I'm one of those victims of the Obama IRS scandal that the press didn't care about. And the IRS spent 4 years of my tax returns trying to destroy me, looking at every line and trying to eliminate every legal deduction. And after 4 years of exhaustively studying every word and every number on every line of my tax return, they found out I owed nothing. So I'm the cleanest guy in all of America. No one can get anything on me. But I'm telling you, they looked for everything and found nothing because everything I do is legal and by the book. But I am legally trying to keep my taxes as low as humanly possible because every dollar I keep is a dollar for my family. It's a dollar for my kids' education. It sent my daughter to Harvard. It pays for my life. It pays for expanding my businesses, which creates jobs, which pays payroll taxes for all those people I employ, which pays property taxes, which pays sales taxes, which pays their income taxes, which takes care of spending, which makes the world go round. So there's nothing wrong with anything Donald Trump did. I'm with him. I'm behind him. We're going to the White House. Go Donald.
Yeah.
Power of Relentless, by the way, my book about business, no politics, endorsed by Donald Trump. Matter of fact, he's right on the back of the entire book is the big quote from Donald Trump. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Donald. You're a good man.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. And by the way, that $1 billion they didn't have to pay went to somebody else for them to pay taxes. So it's like money just doesn't just disappear either. So
Exactly.
somebody's supposed to pay tax on it.
Well, and while Donald was avoiding, supposedly, we don't even know this is true, by the way, but supposedly if he didn't pay on $1 billion because he had $1 billion in losses, think of how many jobs. He took that money and he used it to create thousands of jobs so all those people can take care of their families and go to the movies and go to dinner and pay for rent or pay for a mortgage, send their kids to a private school. Think of the money and then think of the property taxes. You know, when they talk about developers, Dennis, oh, he got $1 million abatement. Yeah, he got $1 million abatement, but he had the balls to go get $100 million loan and build the building. And then if the building doesn't work, he loses the money. If it does work, think of the taxes he pays in property taxes while he's getting the $1 million abatement on other taxes. Think of the sales taxes. Think of the business taxes. Think of everything else Donald Trump has contributed to America. And I would say in a year, he contributes more than Hillary and Bill have in their entire lifetimes.
Right. And you know, people, if they've never been an entrepreneur in their lives before, they'll never understand the amount of dedication that you and I and Donald and other entrepreneurs have put into doing what we're doing. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of losses. There's a lot of wins. You know, I've had tons of businesses. Most of them have failed. Some have been successful. It's just the way it is. You go bankrupt. You know, going into business, it's unforeseen stuff that comes on, and I just don't.
Including government.
Yeah, exactly. Getting in your
Including
way.
taxes. I mean, look, do you know why churches are so rich? And I'm a big religion guy. I'm pro-religion.
Yeah.
I happen to be a Jew turned evangelical Christian, and I'm a very big into God and prayer nowadays. But I still will tell you the greatest thing in the whole world is religion. They get to pay no taxes. That's why they're so rich. If you took any one of us, and every time someone wrote us a check, they got a tax deduction on the check, and I didn't owe taxes on the check, I'd be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Yep. And then the building that I own that's on land, I pay no property taxes because it's called a church. It's the greatest deal in the world. And I love religion. I believe in religion. Right. And I believe strongly in the tax deduction for charitable giving. So we keep religion thriving. But religion proves taxes kill business people. Take anyone who's bankrupt, and if they could get back all the tax money they gave the government, they wouldn't be bankrupt. They'd still be in business, and all their employees would still have jobs. That's what a church has. They never pay taxes on all the money that comes in. Wouldn't the rest of us like that deal?
Yes, totally. And one of the last things I've been hearing a lot, before this interview, I interviewed a veteran, and Donald's been pushing that, and thanks to him, I've been getting more into it and interested in reading up and learning and talking to people and now following veterans on Facebook, and some of it taking to these veterans to the hospital, literally showing that they're showing their timeline at the hospital for 6 hours. We still haven't got seen. 6 hours. We haven't got any food. 6 hours. Nobody offered us water. Wow. That's a big thing I didn't know about. And a lot of people in the United States didn't know about.
I know. I'm very aware. I mean, look, we've been talking about The Power of Relentless, my business book. Yeah. We didn't mention my newest book out. Am I allowed to talk about my political book?
Absolutely, sure.
It's called Angry White Male. That's my newest political book. I have two very different lives. Actually, I have three very different lives. I'm still the number one Vegas odds maker and sports handicapper in the country. Yeah. And I'm into politics and political predictions and commentary and columns. And then I'm into business. And those are three separate lives, and I keep them separate. And I've got success, achieved success in all of them. I'm very proud of that. But angry white male is a simple concept. It's just, and it's really got nothing to do with race other than the fact that I'm white. So I can only speak for myself. I'm a white middle-class kid from the Bronx borderline. And in my neighborhood with my parents, my butcher father, I grew up, Dennis, to respect certain things that made America great. I believe in them with all my heart and soul. God, country, family, capitalism, American exceptionalism, Judeo-Christian values, the military, and the police. And military would include both active duty and veterans. Those are the things that if we honor God and we honor our veterans and we honor the police and we honor capitalism and Judeo-Christian values and we all believe in American exceptionalism, and I left out the Constitution, by the way, if you honor and respect all of those, America will always be great and the greatest nation in world history. That's the reason we're the greatest. But as soon as you allow a president like Obama or Hillary to come into play, and they obviously hate the military, they obviously couldn't care less that veterans die in phantom waiting lines at veterans hospitals. They never even fired anyone over it. They couldn't care less because if you love your country, they think you're stupid. If you risked your life and gave up an arm for your country, they think you're an idiot, an ignorant doofus. Look at Obama. What did he say? All of us cling to our guns and our religion. These are people that don't like us or America. They hate America, but they hide and they make believe they love America. They just want to fundamentally change it. If you want to fundamentally change something, you don't love it. If you marry a woman, your whole goal from the moment you marry her is to fundamentally change her. I don't think you love her very much, right? You marry them because they are the way they are. And so these people on the left, they hate America. They hate religion. They hate Christianity. They hate Israel. They hate the Constitution. They hate American exceptionalism, don't believe in it. And they hate the military and the police. And it shows every day. They support Black Lives Matter. They take a knee when the flag is out there and the national anthem's played. That's disgusting. That's disgraceful. I'd kick every player off my team if I owned a team. Have a nice life. Bye-bye. You want to believe in Black Lives Matter? Great. But don't desecrate my flag. Do it on your own private time. I don't mind that. That's freedom. That's America. Do not do it on my sideline, and do not ever kneel for the national anthem, or I will kick your ass off my team. If that isn't the goal of team owners, then the NFL's ratings are going to collapse, because America is filled with patriots who love football, and we're not going to stand for this crap anymore. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I'm from the East Coast, and you see the Midwest. You see, like, you know, the whole electoral vote thing, and you see all the red is in the middle.
Yeah.
That's where all the real true Americans really are.
Yes,
you know,
they are.
When you talk about people, man, you talk about heart, you talk about got your back, love, family, everything. It's all the states that are red for Donald Trump. You'll notice that. It's funny.
And you'll notice, I look at the list every day. Donald Trump sends me a list of where he's campaigning each day. And it's always the Midwest, the Midwest, the Midwest. He's there day and night. If he's going to win this election, it's about Ohio, it's about Michigan, it's about Pennsylvania, which is kind of Northeast, but I consider it Midwest. Certainly the western half of Pennsylvania is Midwest. It's West Virginia, it's Iowa, it's Wisconsin. You know, if you can win those states, he wins the presidency. It's not about the left coast or the East Coast. You're only going to win by winning every state in the middle of America. Just ignore the Northeast, ignore California, Oregon, and Washington, and go after everything in the middle where the real people live.
Yeah, it's true. That's where they are. Just such great people. I just met some this weekend, and it's just absolutely amazing. Well, we're well over our 30 minutes already. And Wayne, thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing these views together. This has really been a pleasure. I don't even know how I even got your time. I appreciate that. I know you have a very busy schedule and you do 6 or 7 interviews a day. Plus you have your own show. I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate being on. I appreciate being invited to be on, and you sharing my views with your listeners and your viewers, your audience. So thank you, Dennis, and you're a true patriot and gentleman. Thank you. The book's The Power of Relentless. The other book is Angry White Male, if you like politics, if you happen to like it. But if you want to make money, Power of Relentless is the one about money and success and how I've achieved the success that I have as a son of a butcher and a small businessman. I think I've done some great things for a guy who really started out with nothing. That's what makes America great. Could only happen in this country and with a belief in God and a belief in myself. This book, Power of Relentless, teaches you how. So thank you. You can find all the books at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, the usual places. My political website, rootforamerica.com. I'm Wayne Root, so it's Root, R-O-O-T for America. My spokesman site, WayneRoot.com, and my speaker site, RELENTLESSRoot.com. And Dennis, thank you for giving me a platform to reach your audience.
Thank you so much. And I also want to say special thank yous to Raising Awareness and Forgotten Flag Raisers for coming on and sponsoring this episode. Doing great things to pursue the truth of the 2 flag raisings in Iwo Jima. It was a pretty amazing documentary. I've seen it several times, obviously, myself. And we've also created a Raising Awareness shirt for you guys out there who want to raise awareness in this world of the truth. You can go to podcast.codiedog.com. And that's it. We're done for today. And everybody, thank you for listening here today. This has been a very powerful, powerful episode. Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Dennis. God bless.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank our sponsor of today's episode, Forgotten Flag Raisers. They're offering this DVD and this beautiful Raising Awareness shirt for $19. This film is amazing. Check out these clips.
Our museum have no idea that there were actually 2 flag raisings. The flag raising captured in Rosenthal's photograph was an administrative flag raising. It was a replacement flag.
The men who were responsible for the first flag raising were at a disadvantage right from the moment that photographs of the second flag raising hit the American public.
The Rosenthal photo has become a national symbol.
It became maybe the most famous American symbol of World War II.
Lowry's photographs and that first flag raising become a footnote to the Battle of Iwo Jima.
So those men have never been fully recognized.
We do not have the identity of all of those guys.
After the flag was up, they all went their way. Who could remember it? Because it wasn't a requirement to remember it.